Well, we have another tragedy in Venezuela following the country being hit by two powerful back-to-back earthquakes this past week. Official numbers report 50,000 people missing, and some family reports and media updates push the unaccounted for numbers as high as 70,000 people, including many children. What makes this tragedy even more shocking is that we're now hearing reports that children who've survived the earthquakes are being taken. This is obviously a nightmare scenario, and I have some details about the NGOs on the ground there right now, which we should be asking questions about. Furthermore, the MOU is seemingly collapsing before our very eyes, multiple analysts saying the war is not over, and of course, this means our earlier warnings about food supply challenges are now extended beyond early 2027. Joining us to discuss all of the ways in which we're being lied to, what is likely coming next, and what we need to do to prepare is our guest, Brett Miller. Brett Miller, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being here.
Yes. Hey, Maria, great to see you. Even under all of these circumstances, which just seem to be piling up against us, but it's wonderful to see you, and I know you're on top of it. So let's get into it.
Well, Brett, I said this to you last time we spoke, and I always feel a sense of relief when I chat with you because I just feel like a sane person. You just get it. It's like you have this propaganda filter that is just, it just shoots the propaganda away as soon as it comes at you. The arrows cannot land,
That's right.
which I'm appreciative of. My first question for you is, do you think that more and more people are realizing what the heck is going on, that they've been sold out, that they have been betrayed, and that things are very, very wrong?
100%. Absolutely. And you can just go online and see that even with the mass censorship and deplatforming that's still happening every day to a lot of the people that we know specifically, and a lot of people that I don't know, I just see their complaints. You can see like the world is attacking flock cameras. People are protesting here, and also at the same time, they're under attack. We have mass environmental issues happening all over the world and space laser conspiracies that are still playing out in real time. But it does seem to me, it does seem that the world is waking up a little bit, that people have kind of been pushed to the point of like, hey, I can't afford anything. All of our countries are being destroyed. Now there's some like made up war going on, but the only conflict in the war is the conflict to get food and resources out to the rest of the world, right? Like there's no army on army fighting. There's just cut off the oil, cut off the food, cut off the supply chains. So I think a lot of the world is just kind of like, hey, what's going on? None of our leaders are leading, and it's time to take some power back in our own hands. But that's just my opinion.
I agree with you. I'm sensing that the majority of people are on that train. There are
Yeah.
still a lot of people, obviously, as there always will be, kind of like during COVID, you've got a certain number of people where you just cannot reach them.
Yeah.
And no matter what, they're not going to realize it's a very small portion of the population. I feel like wasting time on those people, not that I feel like people are ever wasted time, but I just mean trying to catch up the people that still don't see is a huge challenge. Perhaps our time is better spent organizing at the local level for people who actually understand at this point, and then bring others along the way as we can. But
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just going to agree with you. I mean, you said similar to COVID. That's exactly what yourself and all the amazing people that I was blessed to get to know during the tour, during the Reawaken America tour and during COVID. You try to wake up the masses as much as you can at the time, but similar to any combat situation, right? Like mission accomplishment is first. You have to get the mission done, and then you come back to troop welfare. That was a Marine Corps thing. So the mission during COVID was to fight this agenda, all of the rules and the laws that were coming against us, and also to wake people up at the same time. But you can't stop to wake someone up at the side of the road. You need to keep fighting forward, and then they're going to pick up their sword and join you, hopefully down the line,
Yeah.
if they don't become, lost in the fray, so to speak. But
Yes,
yeah,
I have to agree, and this is something that my good friend Michael Yon has been saying for a very long time, and I'm a little bit more of a bleeding heart than he is, but I completely understand needing to allocate time and resources according to the time that we have, which seems to be moving a lot faster these days. I want to start off. We're going to talk about Venezuela. We're going to talk about Iran. We're going to talk about all of that. But the most pressing issue for me right now, Brett, is this digital ID stuff, because if they succeed with this, we actually can't talk about any of the other stuff, right? So this is the huge thing that's going on right now. The Kids Act has passed. It requires age verification on quote unquote obscene websites. Of course, we also have COSA and all of these other efforts. We're releasing a huge report on the state level and the federal level. I'll just tell you a little tidbit. I did a quick search the other day and found over 80 pieces of legislation that are digital ID related across the states right now in the US. That is how aggressively this is happening, and largely led by Republicans. For the most part, it's Republicans doing it, or working hand in hand with Democrats. So again, uniparty on full display here. And one thing that's happened in Texas is that they passed SB 2420. A judge ruled that it was unconstitutional. Ken Paxton in the state challenged that based on, listen to this, the fact that it is commercial speech. Ken Paxton argued that speech online is not the same as constitutionally protected First Amendment speech. It's actually commercial speech, thus subject to government regulation. And
isn't that exactly the opposite of how they view the social media platforms, that they are protected because they're not public, they're private. So, and didn't Ken Paxton just get caught with his girlfriend having an affair on a subway recently, like yesterday?
It seems that way. It seems that way.
So
but my point in saying all of this, allegedly, my point in saying all of this is that this agenda is really, it's coming in thick and fast now. We've been warning about it for some time, but they're determined to pass this all now. And we have, combined with the flock and everything like that. So I want to ask you, because people are, there's people in Australia right now who can't even do a Google search without putting their ID in. So I want to ask you specifically on the satellite phone store, if people are stuck in a position where they can't communicate with the people they love anymore, or even get information or whatever, is the satellite phone store imposing digital ID, and are they subjected to this operating system nonsense?
No, to answer your question, and you could, that's why all of your government's leaders, all of the White House and staffers, and all of Congress about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, got themselves satellite phones.
Yeah.
Because the satellite network is the most secure network out there, available to the public. The networks we work with are all being used by militaries, and like I said, they're all being used by your government, Americans, and also global governments at the same time. And that's just because they're a very secure network. A satellite phone doesn't have an operating system. It's more of an antenna than anything else. And it leans more analog than it does to this, digital world. But yeah, you said a word in there that I don't like, and it's obscene. And it's because obscene doesn't mean anything. It just means offensive to you or me. So if you're making the rules and you do something and I don't like it, and you deem it, well, it's obscene, then, I can't see it or say anything about it. And that seems to be what's happening right now, right? We're private citizens, and these are public servants who are pointing cameras into our homes, who are turning on our voice recorders, who are telling us that you can't do anything without our permission, and you can't speak about the things that we're doing without signing in and letting us know who you are and what you're saying about us. I mean, this is the ultimate 1984 mind control. I mean, it turns television programming into, a digital lockdown, a digital prison, like you've been talking about for so many years. And now it's coming together. And if you look, all the leaders who are implementing these rules are the ones that are breaking the rules. They're the ones that are taking money. They're the ones that are stealing. They're the ones that are partnering up with, genocidal groups, or may or may not have participated in some sort of flight list or something like that. I mean, so I think as a people, just to sum up quickly, as a people, we need to just understand that, no matter what someone comes and tells you with a piece of paper, my piece of paper says that you can't talk. Yeah, well, my God-given right, being born with a voice and a mouth, says that I can talk, and I'm just going to have to go ahead and speak no matter what your piece of paper says.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to come down to, your paper versus, my sword, if that's what it has to be. But the best way to fight this battle is to become invisible. You know, it's to get on Galileo app. We have a ghost version of our app is to get a satellite phone, right? Is to be able to have your own energy, have your own supply, be able to put your phone, your spy device in a Faraday bag and hide from the world. So, yeah, we have a lot of solutions for that, but you're dead on. You know, this is one big digital prison that they're building around us as fast as possible.
You said they're putting cameras in our homes. A city in Oregon was forced to permanently remove its flock cameras after an audit found that federal agencies had access to the system. The audit revealed that two federal agencies could access the data, including the ability to search the broader network of license plate records for up to 6 months. Flock cameras are used as a mass surveillance tool under the guise of public safety, says Shadow of Ezra. And what was found recently was that it's going beyond license plates. There's another technology, and the name of it escapes me right now, but I need to report on this soon. That's pairing essentially goes hand in hand with flock, where it's not just your license plate. So as you're driving past a flock camera, they are collecting all of the signals that are coming out of your vehicle, including your phone, your car's Bluetooth, potentially, sounds that your phone is recording or images that your phone is recording, sending that back to these systems that we're now learning federal agencies are watching. And who's integrated with federal agencies? Palantir. So what you said about becoming invisible is so important right now, because even driving to the store, if you're going past a flock camera on your way, and go to deflock to learn where they all are, but if you're going past a flock camera on your way, federal agencies are learning everything about your every movement and your intention and your conversations. I mean, this is scary stuff, Brett.
I just they basically made the entire world guilty for their crimes. And it's such an inversion that the people should just be so angry about this. I mean, your government is accusing you of committing crimes every second of every day, so much so that they feel like they have to spy on you every second of every day because you're so untrustworthy. You're so unloyal. You're such a bad patriot and a bad American. You're such a bad citizen that they have to spy on you. That's what they're telling you. You know, meanwhile, these guys are doing insider trading. These guys are lying, cheating, stealing. You know, I mean, we're spending $14 million on hydrogen peroxide to put in an algae. I mean, it was just like there's ridiculous money laundering happening everywhere. Everyone's being accused of the worst possible crimes. But you, citizen, you watching Netflix after you come home after a hard day at work, you feeding your family, trying not to give your kids, maybe poison GMO food. You're the problem. You're the issue. You not loving that Nancy Pelosi made $400 million, in the course of 20 years. You're the problem. You're the problem that all these things exist. And I think, I hope what I'm saying is rubbing someone the wrong way, because I'm actually on your side. I just want you to know that's how they look at you. So you now need to understand that this is how you're being viewed. You're being viewed 24/7 as a criminal by your own government, so much so that they can't even trust you like a child. We have to monitor you like a child. How do you feel about that? You want to participate in that system, or are you just kind of fed up with the criminals pointing their finger at you, telling you you're a bad person? Because that's what we're doing here. We're setting up networks of people that are just kind of fed up of being like, you guys are literally like murdering, stealing, lying, and then I'm just going to work, and then you're pointing your finger at me and putting your camera in my face, saying, "Oh, what'd you say yesterday to your friend?" Well, I mean, come on, guys. Let's just all take a deep breath. The adults need to have a conversation about what is legitimately happening in the world versus what they're telling you is happening in the world, and then all need to start taking accountability of what you're going to do in the world in order to protect your family and protect your free speech.
Yeah, it's very, very important that people start to take this extremely seriously. I mean, someone said to me not too long ago that my problem is that I'm too early, and I kind of by studying, and this isn't me bragging. It's a like a criticism,
No,
essentially.
you are early.
Seeing 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, people can't generally see it until it's right in their faces, and then you sound, like you're hyperventilating over something that's not actually an issue until people can't log into an app store until they give their ID, right? So it's like, this is a blessing and a cross to bear, I guess. Those of us who see things ahead of time, and I know
Well, you're educated. excuse me, I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to compliment what you do. You read and you listen to what they say. You look ahead and you go, hey, if this guy's saying this and that guy's saying that and that guy's saying that and they're all bad, what is the agenda that they're putting together?
Right.
And that's what you do, and you form these, hypothesis, which is, educated guess, but it's very educated, and it's not really a guess because it's based on all of your reading and all of your research and all of your knowledge. The problem is people aren't paying attention. People are just like, I was all about it too. Trump's gonna get in. We're gonna win. All right, we did it. Yay! Crap. Like we're all let down now. Like nothing happened, literally. We're all just like, hang on. And I've talked to some of the high echelon people up there. I won't mention names, but I've talked to them who are all part of that thing, and they looked me straight in the eyes. This is a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Yeah, you were lied to." Period. So, like, okay, now I have to take that. I have to go, okay, do I have to put back on the armor? Do we have to go out and fight some more? Am I in the place to like learn more, educate people more? But, you're spot on with what you see and what you're saying because you are watching this converge into this problem, and they're telling us right to our face. So,
They are. And I think because I always ask guests, what is the key? How do you figure this out? And if I can just give my take on how I figure it out, I watch actions and policies in light of the broader agenda versus the things that they say or the things that we hope
right.
they'll do. So, for example, I know about Agenda 2030, and I also know about the plan for microneedle patches to be sent to your house where the government is tracking whether you've administered that quantum dot injection into your body and what it's doing inside your body at any given time, right? So then on day
Yep.
2, when Larry Ellison comes into the White House and tells us about AI mRNA, I'm like, oh, okay, so Trump's on board with that.
Right.
Trump's
Yeah, I
on
know
board
that.
with
I've
the
seen that.
quantum dot tracking. And then he jokes about how 6G is going to go a little bit deeper, going to let them see a little bit deeper under our skin as he's signing it. Okay,
Right.
so he actually knows about this and he thinks it's funny, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, if I can give anyone the tip on how to, and our audience gets it, Brett, but if you're
Yeah, I
trying
know.
to wake other people up, it is look at the actions versus the agenda in line with the agenda. This requires you to understand the agenda, but look at the
Right.
actions versus the agenda and decide based on that. And what I'm seeing is an acceleration of these things, Brett. In no way is any of this being tackled. It's being accelerated massively. Unfortunately, I think people were placated by this last
Yeah.
win. They thought that things were going to get better, and so they stopped paying as much attention. Again, not the case for our audience. They get it, but this is the problem out there. But I'm very encouraged to see people waking up to all of this. Let's talk about this war and what's the non-MOU.
Yeah, I don't think we're in a war. I don't think Congress ever signed a war. I
Oh,
don't think you're
right,
allowed to use
right.
the word war.
No,
Sorry.
no,
I
you're
think just
right.
they keep changing the name,
It's a
right?
situation. It's an
It's a situation.
operation.
It's a
It's
conflict. It's a
yes,
military action.
military action. Yeah,
It's a whole lot of bullshit. I'm sorry.
yes.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, because we've had people that are saying, even the IAEA and the UN said, even if the Hormuz Strait opens up in May, even if this ends today, we are still going to have a crisis come end of 2026 leading into
Yeah.
2027, and all the analysts I've
Oh yeah.
spoken to have agreed. So talk to us about the impacts that are coming our way.
Yeah, I mean, one of our good friends, you said Michael Yon earlier. I love that guy. He's amazing. Great dude, stand-up guy, tells the truth all the time, no matter what. Another guy that's been telling a lot of truth is Mike Adams, who I know is a good friend of yours as well. And you talk about like the urea, you talk about the fertilizer. A couple years ago, we all of our food factories were under attack. I don't know if people forgot that, but we had like 300 processing and distribution centers, and the largest fertilizer factory in Florida burned to the ground. That kind of just fart in the wind, that dust blew away, but it's all related. And yeah, now the smartest people in the world, the smartest governments of the world are saying like, hey, we're about to have mass starvation. We're weeks away from oil running out. China was weeks away, or sorry, what was it? Taiwan was weeks away. We had to give them a whole bunch. They took all this oil from Venezuela. That was great. Well, go America, but that ended up somewhere else, not in America. And our gas is still rising, but I don't think people realize one day the gas is not going to rise anymore. It's just not going to be on. The pump's just not going to work. We Trump is spending our supplies, what is our oil reserves, the strategic oil reserve. He's just getting rid of it. They're just burning it right now so he can keep the illusion of prices being low. And if you think $5 a gallon is low, that's what low is right now because it's going to double, it's going to triple, and then one day they're just going to turn the pump off because that's what's happening. Like I mentioned earlier, the attack, the world war is an attack on the people. It's not an attack on armies. Maybe there's a couple bases getting blown up, or maybe some ship gets a missile sent into it. But where's the conflict? The conflict is in how you're getting your food. The conflict is in how are you getting, to work? Where's the oil coming from? Where's the fertilizer coming from? And when you talk about like the urea running out, you're talking about global fertilizer, which means what we're living on today is what was grown last year or the year before that has been preserved and is on the shelf rapidly running out.
Yep.
What happens next after this season is everyone's hungry. And when everyone gets hungry, you're 3 meals away from a riot, So just keep that in mind because that's what's happening. And that's why, again, we're encouraging everyone, stock up. Like now is the time. You can afford food. Well, storable food today is more expensive than it was last year. And that's more expensive than it was the years leading up to that. Just like your gas is more expensive today. So anyone that's like out here saying like, "Oh, we won, red flag of victory." Okay, are you making more money? Is the value of your dollar increasing or decreasing? Is the price of your gas going up or going down? Is the price of your milk going up or going down? Is shrinkflation still happening, or are we getting expanseflation or whatever ridiculous word they want to put into play? The truth is, like, it's all worse than it was last year, which is all worse than it was the couple years before that. And in how many times, how much more exponentially worse does it need to get till you start to realize, like, hey, Netflix is not taking away my pain. Like, I need to store up some water. I need to organize with my neighbors. I need to learn how to plant some corn because that's where we're headed, people. And I don't want to be the black pillar, but it's just reality. The writing is on the wall. So, read it.
I don't think it's blackpilling at all. And I think that even if there was some grand miracle that occurred tomorrow, it's still wise to prepare for difficult times because we live in a very volatile world. So
100%.
I think that it's not blackpilling to tell people to prepare for the worst. It's actually loving to tell them to do that. So, food, water, we did a stream recently with Marjorie Wildcraft. If people have missed that, please go and watch it. I'll link it in the description below. She's got, her history is basically 20 years of going to different places and setting up a fully self-sufficient mini homestead that anyone can do in their backyard, to survive. And she does it time and time again across different climates, different states. And, she's got a really easy 3-step process for people to be completely self-sufficient. And I'm personally implementing this in my life. Like, I'm not going to wait around for things to get worse. The first thing I did, Brett, when I landed here was I bought long-term food. Like, I bought survival food. It's the first thing I did when I landed in Texas because I'm like, it doesn't matter what, who's going to win the election or whatever. I know that I need to have a backup plan. Like, it's just common sense, right?
Yep.
So, from what I'm seeing, this MOU is worthless. Everyone's ignoring it. Clause 1.
They're bombing today.
Well, yeah. I mean, as soon as I read it, I'm like, Clause 1, Lebanon. Well, Israel's made it clear they're not going to stop. So how can you start an MOU with that clause?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's biblical references to Israel, and I don't want to get on this like whole Israel thing because I know it's like so sensitive and people just can't, and they can't even comprehend it to have a conversation. But Benjamin Netanyahu is openly saying that we are going to wipe out Lebanon. We're going to take parts of Syria. Our next enemy is Turkey. I mean, this guy's out here saying it. You can go on the internet and just listen to what he's saying. He's saying it. It's not me. I'm not like hating on anybody. I'm just saying this guy running this nation is attacking these countries despite any negotiation that other nations or leaders are having. And then when they come to an agreement, he says, yeah, not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're just bombing more, and they bomb even more. So, and whatever. I'm not the International Crimes Court, but he's wanted for this type of behavior. This behavior is the behavior that has caused him to be an international war criminal or accused or whatever you want to call it, whatever the ICC is accusing him of.
That's a blood libel, Brett.
I know I'm such a horrible person. I hate everybody. I got a small mustache or whatever. I don't know. Like, it's just crazy. Like, we're talking about something that's literally happening in plain sight that this man is saying, right? Like, we're like, okay, in America, we agree, we're not going to murder is bad. We're not going to kill each other. Okay. And then you have one guy that's like, I don't agree with you. And he shoots somebody. That guy is the problem. The guy that shoots someone after we all agree that we're going to live in peace, that guy's not living in peace. That's the problem. And it's just reality. It's just common sense.
Well,
So
him and
we have to
multiple
just-
members of his cabinet, by the way, like Ben Gvir is another one. These figures have displayed time and time again that they're not interested in peace.
And I would say even our governments too. We have people that are like, we need to wipe them off the map. You got like Randy Fines guys that are out there tweeting about, I can't wait till all the kids die or whatever this guy. Like, that's just not common sense. You can't live in a world where you have people that have this mentality of kill everyone else, but because I'm the special one. That just doesn't apply. Like, if you are a special one, if you are chosen one, then you should be chosen to take care of the world, right? You need to like do things to bring peace to the world, not, I'm chosen to like kill everybody, because that's just crazy talk. But again, whatever's happening, the everyday people need to realize that this is not stopping, that these people are not stopping. It doesn't matter what document you sign, doesn't matter what tweet you get at 11 p.m. from your golden leader. It doesn't matter who says what at whatever national meeting. It doesn't matter. It's happening. It's rolling. The ball is rolling, and there's no stopping it because there's not enough people out there saying, hey, we got to stop this. There's more people going like, oh, well, he said he's going to stop it, so we'll just listen to him. And then 6 months later, it's 10 times worse. It hasn't stopped. And then he just tweets something else like, oh, we're going to do something else good. But he doesn't do it. So, I mean, people perish for lack of knowledge, not lack of muscles, not lack of bullets. They perish for lack of knowledge. And that's biblical. And that's because information is everything. If I know that there's going to be a famine and I store food like you're doing, that's knowledge. You're going to live, because you're not going to perish of starvation, right? So if you see any kind of writing on the wall, anybody listening, or you see a family member, or even if you're just kind of like, these people are crazy, just take a step back, reevaluate your life and the state of the world for yourself, and then figure out when the lights go off where you're going to need power, where you're going to need food, where you're going to need water, and then, fill in the blanks for yourself and your family. Because yeah.
I can't remember if I mentioned to you last time that I've already started to actually exercise or practice in my own life as though I was on limited electricity or limited water. Live that way. Stop living like it's abundant. And practice what it would be like in a time of crisis. Occasionally, I do that in my household because it's vital to get that muscle memory started. It's vital to, if we are in a state of shock, not be fearful and shocked. I have the muscle memory. Okay, I've done this before. I know how to do X, Y, Z. And so this is another practical tip that I would give people. Start, don't throw out food. If you need to go to the store and you have something undesirable in your fridge, figure out how you're going to make a meal out of what you have rather than, throwing out food. For example, treat it like you're on rations and see how you can train yourself for this reality. I don't know if you can give people some other practical tips, Brett.
Yeah. I love that actually. And I can really appreciate that because, everybody has this sense of like the military, right? Oh, these are highly trained and they're really good at what they do. And that, we all respect the military. I was in the Marine Corps 10 years. The reason those guys are like that is because the boot camp portion of the military is to make you as miserable as possible and then make you do your job. So you have to be cold, wet, hungry, tired, beat up, sore, blister, whatever the worst possible scenario. They roll you, turn you into a sugar cookie where they roll you in the sand and you're all sweaty and now you got sand in every crack of your body and you got to now run. Right. So the whole point of the military, the reason these guys like they seem like nothing can stop them is because they've trained in misery. They train in the worst case scenario because that's where you're gonna play in the worst case scenario as a military. Now, if you're a baseball player, you train and practice the way you're going to play in your game, right? That's the whole thing. So for what you're doing, that's genius. That's what I try to encourage people to do. Wake up tomorrow or over the weekend or something with your family and just pretend for the morning that you don't have electricity. Just pretend. Where's your water coming from? How are you calling mom or grandma? Where are you getting your information from? How are you cooking your eggs? How are you going to boil your water for your coffee? Just pretend,
Yep.
right? Just do it. And then write down the list of things that you're like, dang, I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I needed this. My coffee was cold. This stunk, whatever. And then go back and fill in the blanks and then practice that because that's what's going to happen. I mean, when you get in a car accident or not even a car, when you blow a tire on the highway, you haven't been thinking about that spare tire, for the last year. It's probably just been in your trunk. But when you pop that tire, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I got to go into change tire mode. I have to go in or call someone that can change tire mode, or get to the side of the road and not get run over by the tractor trailers flying by. Like there's a whole list of things that you have to do in order just to get to the point of changing the tire in that situation. Well, changing a tire is just in this is just a metaphor for getting water to your kid, feeding your child, defending staying warm in the winter. So test yourself. I mean, in everything you do in life, you test yourself. Can I get bigger, better, faster, stronger? And you need to do that in your preparation, in your emergency planning. So bravo
Absolutely
to you
couldn't
for
agree
doing
more.
what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it's common sense. I've always told
Yeah.
people that the more I prepare, the less fearful I feel, and that's my
That's
advice to
right.
everyone, because that muscle memory genuinely kicks in. And
Yeah.
I suppose I have the added advantage, if you will, of having been targeted by the government, put on 60 Minutes, being debanked, all this sort of stuff. It kind of makes you acutely aware that, oh wow, I'm considered a threat to these people. Therefore, I need to live my life as though I am one. It forces you into that mode of at any moment I could be attacked in any way. So I better prepare for these things. I better have gold, silver. I better have, alternative ways of communicating with people. What if they don't like what I say and they just go, you know what, we're going to switch off your phone, access to your phone, for example. So these things are very important. The key,
Absolutely.
I think, as well, and I want to really emphasize this, obviously, Brett's from the satellite phone store. You all know that we've had a long-standing relationship with the satellite phone store because communication is vital, people. The day will come where you are, I mean, the day is already here. Let me say this unequivocally. The day is already here where your communications are not secure. And you need to be able to communicate in a way that is secure with your loved ones, in a way that's fully encrypted in times of crisis. And by the way, I would say even outside of times of crisis, any sensitive conversations that you are having with loved ones shouldn't be had on a big tech device, on a big tech network,
Right.
right? So definitely head to sat123.com/Maria. That's sat123.com/Maria. Get exclusive deals on the Immosat Shield Max 150, a personal privacy deal. You also have the Iridium Stay Ready 150. So you get bundles here. You're saving with this particular bundle, you're saving $1,500 if you use our link. With the Immosat bundle, you're saving $1,100 on this bundle. So it's absolutely a no-brainer to get your communications sorted right now. I really do want to pivot to Venezuela as well, Brett, because this is really important. We have
Yeah.
2 back-to-back earthquakes now. Official reports, 50,000 people missing. Now, updated numbers according to local media and families is we're looking at about 70,000 people missing. And a bunch of NGOs have gone in to help these people. And now there's missing children, we're hearing. So talk to us about
Yeah.
the importance of comms when it comes to crises like this, which can come at any time.
Man, knowing where your family is and your friends are and the ones you love in any situation is, I mean, lose your kid for 5 seconds in a mall or, like misplace your phone for an afternoon. I mean, let alone a loved one, right? I mean, we have search parties that go out looking for people when they're missing, right? Like it's obviously being able to track your family and keep a hold of them is, there's life threes, there's all kinds of things. It's, products and companies and whole ideas behind keeping your family safe and accountable. And then these situations happen, and time again, we just hear about the children going missing. We just hear about, I mean, it's terrible. I'm looking on, just some of the more general social medias, and there are reports like my kids were here, and then now they changed their last name, and now they're gone, and they're just like vanishing children. And under the Biden admin and under Mayorkas, who somehow managed to like squeeze away free and clear him and Blinken and all these guys, they the federal government said that they brought in 500,000 children that were missing. The government, they reported it themselves that they brought in and disappeared 300 to 500,000 children. That's our US government just did that during COVID, where we still had cell phones. We still had track and trace abilities, and not track and trace is not a good thing, but I mean like the ability to find your family, the
Right.
ability to, use our apps and use these communication devices to be able to talk with each other. We still had that during COVID. In this Venezuela situation, same thing happened in North Carolina. Same thing was happening in Lahaina. I don't know if you recall, there was a whole school that went missing. They still
Yes.
don't know where those buses of children. They're just gone. They just they stopped reporting it, but that doesn't mean the kids came back. So the ability to hand this, like to have your daughter has this in a glove box, maybe if they're too young, obviously it doesn't work, but this is a satellite antenna, this bivy stick, and I can track this on my cell phone. I can send your daughter could send a one-touch emergency alert right here, hit that button. It sends a preloaded message, help, dad, mom, whatever, and it sends her GPS to you. No matter what, no cell service needed, direct to the satellite link. This uses the same Iridium link, Iridium satellite network that the governments use that we were talking about earlier. So, like, in these situations, the ability to find your loved ones immediately and know where they're at is essential. Prior to that, I would say having an emergency action plan with your family is something that you need to talk about. Where are we going to meet? You go to college every day, or this is where you work, this is where I work, this is where our kids are, whatever your situation is with your family. What's your plan when we can't get a hold of each other? Where are we meeting? How long are we going to give each other to get there? Okay, by car, it's 15 minutes. The average person could walk 3.4 miles an hour if they're in relatively good shape, as long as it's not, hard terrain. It's going to take you X number of hours to get here or X number of minutes to get here. If I don't see you in our location and we don't check in at X hour, this is where I'm going to start going. I'm going to come this way for you. I'm going to, or do this. Or, I mean, you need a plan. You need a bug out plan. You need emergency action drills, tap, rack, bang. Those are the types of things that we do, immediate action drills in the military for a jam. But you need that in your life because a jam on a gun is like you're in a jam. It's the same situation. It's something not happening that you need to happen in order for your life to be protected. And you need to set that plan ahead of time with your family. But to get back on point with the Venezuela thing, I mean, SRP 24, Steve Slepsovic's down there just talking about the carnage, the death, the confusion. And in that is where the fear lies, the confusion, the unknown, and the chaos. And yeah, now's when families disappear, people are hurt, injured, not getting what they need. Everything's running out. You're running out of water. You're running out of bandages. You're running out of lighter fluid. You're running out of battery power. Like you have to consider that everything you have is now running out, depleting. All of your resources are depleting and they're not being refurbished. So, how many water filters do you have? How many extra batteries do you have? How many generators do you have? Right? Like, how many waterproof, fireproof lighters do you have to start little campfires and try to keep yourself warm? Now, I kind of went on a rant, but Venezuela is an example of a war situation, and in those situations, there is nothing. You have carnage, chaos, sadness, and whatever you got on you that you're going to use to keep yourself alive and to help as many people as possible. And again, the keeping your family plan, your tracking plan, your communication plan, your how are we drinking fresh water plan, how are we staying warm plan, how are we defending ourselves plan. You need a plan. You love your family. I know you do. If you're listening, you already know this because you listened to Maria, so you're way ahead of me and you're way ahead of what I'm saying. But if you know someone that doesn't have a plan or you work with somebody, get them involved in your plan. Put your plan together. The bigger the team you have, the better. And I'll pass it to you now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. It's you can't actually do it alone. I think a lot of people think that they
Right.
can survive on their own. War zones and people who've survived through really, really, crazy situations always say that you need community, and that's
Yep.
actually what gets you through because more bodies are better than one, more heads are better than one. You can pull
Yep.
resources, skills, all of that sort of stuff.
Right.
So super important to have that. I just want to. I noticed an anomaly, Brett, when I was looking into these missing kids in Venezuela,
Yeah.
and it basically started happening as soon as the NGOs turned up, and we know that a lot of the NGOs were facilitating the invasion at the U.S. border, and
Yep.
consequently, there were a lot of reports of missing kids when those NGOs were there as well. Now, I don't want to assign blame to any of these NGOs specifically, but I do think they need to be questioned and answer for this because you have several major NGOs that are active in the Venezuela earthquake response that were also prominent in migrant aid at the US border during the Biden admin. And those include Save the Children, the International Rescue Committee, UNICEF, Catholic Relief Services, American Red Cross, Project Hope and Direct Relief. We also see an Israeli rescue delegation arriving in Venezuela. We know that the Hebrew Aid Immigration Society as well was involved at the border. So there are interesting correlations between
Yeah.
aid organizations coming, we're going to help you, and missing children. Similar reports came out of North Carolina, by the way, of missing children. And we know that FEMA was out there and people that were on the ground. Again, I'm not assigning blame to these organizations. I'm just saying there is this pattern. Whoever it is taking advantage of these situations when they occur.
Yeah.
Help is on the way. And then all of a sudden we have missing children. I mean, it is terrifying to me to think about the fact that a crisis can happen in any situation. And on top of everything that you lose your children as well. It's just unacceptable. So we have to be prepared for absolutely anything. And communication in particular is going to be one way that you can find your kids. What you're talking about is
That's right.
so vital, Brett.
Yeah. I mean, look, the all the other devices that you get, they work off Wi-Fi signal. Just remember that. Like your tracking device that you have when you look at your phone and you're finding your kid, if it's not using a satellite network, it's using Wi-Fi. All it takes, your phone doesn't work. You've spent months and months and years spending that $50 a month, $20 a month, $100 a month, whatever. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work without Wi-Fi. Like you just have to appreciate that. And I know I'm not trying to say that in a rude way. I'm just trying to wake people up. Like if you are using Wi-Fi and an internet IP address, it's going to be blown out as soon as a disaster happens. When you need it the most, it's not going to be there. Just like Twitter won't be there for your news, and Fox won't be there, and YouTube won't be there, and Instagram, and Facebook, and Rumble, and Snapchat, and TikTok, and all of them, they all use the same Wi-Fi signal, except for Galileo, by the way. But they all use the same Wi-Fi signal. And when that Wi-Fi goes, every bit of information that you collect on the daily goes, including tracking your kids. And can I just, on top of what you just said, not to bring up Michael Yon again, but he went to the Walmart and the Target in Texas that was being run by, I think, Hyas, where all the children were inside, and he was interviewing the border guards, the border patrol outside who were not allowing, and he was saying, like, hey, why are you letting this happen? Like, you guys are guarding this building with children in it. We know there's children in it. He was pointing it out. So it's not a conspiracy to think that this was happening. It was reported.
Well,
And
we're having reports out of Venezuela. Sorry to cut you off, but
same
reports out of
things.
Venezuela
Yeah.
that the authorities are blocking people accessing the saved
Right.
children.
Yeah. So like everywhere you go, it's the same accusation of the Clinton. The Clintons back in the Haiti. Remember the Haiti earthquake? The
Yep.
Clintons were accused of going down there and just like stealing kids. This is not a new accusation. And after, I don't know how many years of it happening, like, did the government just find the 500 children or they just forgotten about them? Did they
Right.
just
It was
disappeared?
maximum transparency. There were 500,000 missing kids. Okay, where are they? What good
Where
is
are
your
they?
transparency when they might be
Yeah.
in some basement having adrenochrome extracted?
Yeah, which is probably likely. Like at this point, knowing what we've got with the DOJ files that have come out, knowing what they're like they call beef jerky, knowing what these people, knowing why is Jeffrey Epstein like having Kuru? Why are all these people, Leonardo DiCaprio has been accused, Ellen DeGeneres has been accused. I mean, they are the names and the documentation that the Department of Justice released is pointing to the fact that what you just said is not conspiracy, it is conspiracy fact, and they're actually doing it. And now every situation that we have, every emergency, all of a sudden we just end up with all these missing kids in every single emergency. It's appalling. We live in, I mean, this is like it's a satanic agenda, and that's the only way you could describe it. And anybody participating in that is participating and working for the devil because like you said, like not only are you dealing with a national disaster, now you're dealing with someone trying to steal the children of the world. Like it's appalling. But again, I can get worn out, I can get tired, I can get frustrated, and I can cry, and I can be super upset or mad at it, or I can just keep saying the same thing over and over and over to everybody, and that is you are responsible for your family. There is no government coming to save you. There are no leaders thinking about you today. No one on Fox News wants you to hear the truth. Nobody in government wants you to succeed. They want you to get fat. They want you to get sick. They want you to pay them so they can be millionaires and you not. And then when the disaster comes, they really just want you to die, right? I mean, you brought up North Carolina. FEMA cut off all the donations.
Yeah.
FEMA was stealing donations to the North Carolinas from American citizens to American citizens. So that's your government got in the way and said no. So,
Yeah, I'll just add
no
to the
one's,
list of people who don't have
please,
our best
please.
intentions at heart. This influencer network that is towing
Yeah,
the line for
that
the
too.
establishment.
That too.
It really infuriates me, Brett, because it's so unbelievable. Like I look at them with the same disdain that I did for CNN during COVID.
Yeah,
They are,
fork tongues.
yes, absolutely lying to people, not warning them about the threats like we are in this conversation.
Yeah,
Ultimately, I want to be super clear about this. I don't want people to be afraid. I don't want them to be
right.
unprepared. The best way that you can not be afraid is to be as prepared as possible. Look
That's
at all
right.
the warning signs around you. Listen to the facts that we've delivered in this broadcast and understand that no one's coming to save you. No one
No,
is. Other than Jesus himself when he comes.
that's it.
And that's still a little while away. So,
Yeah,
we need
hopefully.
to apply wisdom and we need to be as prepared as possible for the times
That's
that
right.
we're in. And I hope that's coming through clear, Brett. I say this out of love and care for our audience. I don't want people to be to find themselves in a situation where they depend on the government for their salvation. It's not coming.
Yeah. I mean, that's at the end of the day, like whatever I say, it's not out of hate. It's not trying to scare. I'm glad you said that because, I don't want to, I know sometimes I do get a little bit like dark when you start thinking about it and you've been doing this for so long, you start to go, man, is it all bad? But then no, it's not all bad. You go outside, play in the grass with your kids. Go watch a baseball game or something like that, whatever sports game. Don't get too involved in sports, but go have fun. Like, go fishing, eat a nice cheeseburger from a organic farm or something. You know what I mean? Like there are so many beautiful things in life. Like, kiss your wife, like have a hug. There's so many beautiful things in life that, I don't want to be, all doom and gloom with people and I don't want to scare them. But, like we say, it is preparedness and we have to be realistic about what's happening right now. I have to, as much as I wanted Donald Trump to be this great American, and I was sitting there in North Carolina, front row. He's right there telling us all the great things he's going to do. Well, it didn't happen. So, am I going to go out and I hate you, Trump, you suck? Well, maybe. But also at the same time, I'm going to prepare myself, right? Like, I'm going to get the things I need. And we're going to have these conversations where we're like, listen, out of love for humanity and love for a stranger that I don't know, I want you to share in the same happiness and peace, and I want you to have the same thing. I want you to have everything that you want in life, but you have to understand what Maria just said and what I'm trying to say, when that is no one is coming to save you, lest it be God Almighty and Jesus Himself. And yeah, let's hope that's not soon, because that He's not coming back nice. He's coming back with a book of judgment and a flaming sword of righteousness. So, we're all in trouble then. But in the meantime, yeah, you gotta prepare yourself so you can have that sense of peace. So you can say, yeah, the world's kind of crazy, but I got a gun, I got a couple swords, I got a solar generator, I got a backpack, I got a comms, you know what I mean? I got a few things. I'll be all right,
I got my
and then
go
I'll just
bag.
sit
I'm going
there.
to flee into the
Yeah, I got my
caves.
go bag. Exactly, exactly. I'm ready. As ready as I'll ever be,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really hope that people are doing that. I hope they're taking prepping more
yeah,
seriously. I'll share a quick tidbit of something that I did
yeah,
recently. We did a report. It was really, really amazing, Brett. In Europe, I can't remember which country now, but they did an experiment where they replaced all the rubber mats of child daycare centers with natural things like soil and rocks and trees,
yeah.
and they
Nice.
got the kids, the parents actually agreed to do blood tests on their kids, and what they found was within 2-3 weeks the kids' bloods, just from playing in the dirt,
Wow.
improved drastically. And
Yep.
so, I was moving some rocks around my property recently, and it's Texas, you got scorpions and all sorts of creepy crawlies.
Yeah, yeah,
But I did it with bare hands carefully, because I'm like, no, I want to touch soil more. I want to touch nature more. I want to be doing this stuff because I know it's actually good for me. Not only
yeah,
that, but the unplugging from the digital world, being out there in nature while
yep.
you've got this sort of prepper mindset really strengthens you mentally, I believe. And I really encourage people to do more of that where they can.
Well,
There's no feeling like, getting harvesting your own food,
yeah.
being out there with nature, touching the soil, playing in the dirt. Let your kids play in the dirt. Um,
Yeah, put your toes in the grass.
for
That's like the
sure.
most important thing. And I think people need to realize, like, we're talking about power and batteries and stuff like that. Like, your body is a battery. What is a battery made up of? A battery is made up of mineralized waters, mineralized liquids, a few acids, but mostly heavy metals, right? In a storage vessel. That's you, man. You're minerals, you're liquid, you got a little acidity, you're in a vessel, right? You are a battery. And when you don't recharge, you don't sleep, when you don't eat, when you don't drink water, when you don't touch your giant charging port, which is the ground, or like let's say you go and try to charge your phone, but I put a little piece of rubber between the charging port and my phone charger, is it going to charge? No, the rubber is going to stop the electricity from going through. And that's you and your sneakers. That's your Nikes or your D, whatever. That's you and your flip-flops. There is a piece of rubber between you and the ultimate charging port, which is you're standing on this giant charging rock.
That's so
So
funny. I'm assuming you've read into the history of how they started introducing rubber. Our shoes used to be made of natural materials that didn't
that's
stop that.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yep, that's right.
crazy
And it's
when you look into
intentionally,
it.
you just proved it. The
Yeah.
blood test will prove it, and I can prove it to anybody. Go outside and stand in the grass.
Yeah.
Take some deep breaths, drink some water while you're standing there, and then come back in and tell me you don't feel better.
Yeah.
Like,
Stand in the
you will
sun.
feel better. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep,
I love you brought that
absolutely.
up. That was amazing. You're genius.
Well,
I
it's
love it.
true, but
Very
it's
true.
important for people's psyche as well, because so much of this can be overwhelming. I mean,
Yep.
I understand. I do this all day, every day. I get it, right? Like it messes with your head. Yeah.
Bash my head against the wall.
Yeah, but if you take steps to keep yourself
Yep.
connected to God's creation, it
Yeah.
it it balances you out. It really
Amen.
does. I can't overstate the importance of that, as well as
100%.
preparation. So again, I'm going to bring up sat123.com
Thank
slash
you.
Maria. That's sat123.com slash Maria. Be prepared, people. Please don't delay this. Again, you get get huge savings on the deals that the satellite phone store is offering through our link. Make sure you're using promo code Maria, or if you give them a call, let them know you came through Z Media. They will look after you. The Bivy is the device that Brett was showing us before. You can save over $300 on this device. That is a really, really good method for staying in touch with your family and your kids, because you never know when disaster will strike, and God forbid you don't know where your kids are and someone from the government says we're here to help, and then all of a sudden you can't access your children. You get bundles, grab phones for the family, grab phones, organize with people that you know, who you trust for crisis situations, and say, okay, we're all going to get satellite phones, and then do tests. I can't stress this enough as well. Do regular drills with your comms. Pretend the comms are down and talk to your network that all have satellite phones. We do this. Like, my family does this. I do this with family overseas, who have satellite phones from the satellite phone store. We do this often. You can grab a couple of Vivies as well. So just head to our link, sat123.com/Maria. There's something for every budget there. And you can also access their EcoFlow solar panels, power stations. The portable solar panels are fantastic because they're small enough to fit in a go bag. So these things are essentials, in my opinion, just as much as all of the other things that we've discussed today. Absolutely vital for preparation. Brett, what do you want to end on there?
I mean, you said it. We talk about it. I appreciate what you're saying. If you're listening to Maria right now, you already know. So your job now is to go out and tell somebody else. Your job is to bring someone to the truth, right? That's you're a shepherd of your own flock, not camera flock, like sheep flock. So you got to be that shepherd, bring people to the knowledge, just like somebody brought you to the knowledge, whether it was a friend, whether it was Maria, whether it was God himself, where you said a prayer and all of a sudden you just get some information. I mean, that's the place where we're at. Information, as we keep saying, that's everything, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Noah built his ark in the sunshine and the sun is still shining. So go build your ark, everybody. And God bless you, Maria and Frank, and everything you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you guys.
God bless you, Brett. Thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate it. God bless.
The New World Order has openly declared war on the free people of the world, and now they're telling us to expect catastrophic cyber attacks over the next 2 years. Weather events, no power, grids down, mobile cell services out. Contact your loved ones anywhere, anytime with the satellite phone store. The Bivy is a revolutionary GPS-based device which allows you to send SMS messages via your phone even if you have no mobile or cell service. Galileo will ensure you always stay in contact with Z Media, other trusted information sources, and your loved ones that can update you in real time in the event of an emergency. Don't be caught out and unprepared for the unprecedented times we are living in. Stay 10 steps ahead through secure, encrypted communication. Visit sat123.com/Maria and prepare yourself and your loved ones now.